What would you like to do? Doctor?
Antibiotics. Oh no, wait. Am I saying that?
Yes.
Stop! Stop!
Doctor, it's about Miss Swift. Her wound's starting to look a bit infected. What would you like to do?
Just give her.
Robert, you're supposed to interrupt! Doctor, it's about Miss Swift. I'm worried about her wound. It's starting to look a bit infected. What would you like to
Just
do?
give her 500 milligrams of meropenem. IV. Stat.
Stop laughing! Right. Who's been prescribing broad-spectrum antibiotics to every man, woman and child in this hospital?
It's me, Professor.
Come with me, boy!
Body.
Because you need to learn a few things about your poor prescribing habits. Here's what you need to learn. You need to learn a few things about your poor prescribing habits. Here's what you need to learn. Now, antimicrobial resistance, as I hope you already know, refers to the concept of potentially pathological microorganisms developing resistance or immunity to antimicrobial therapies. When you repeatedly expose microbial populations to antimicrobial agents, those with... Fuck. Oh, no, start that again. Wrong!
Whoa, okay, calm down, Professor. That's a pretty scary picture you're painting there, Professor. How can we fix it? That sounds pretty awesome. Are there any disadvantages to these AMS programs? That sounds pretty awesome. Are there any disadvantages to these AMS programs? That sounds pretty awesome. Are there any disadvantages to these AMS programs? That sounds pretty awesome. Are there any disadvantages to this program? Oh no, again.
Okay, just go again. Let's get
Are there
wrong.
any disadvantages to these programs? Are there any disadvantages to this program? That sounds pretty awesome. That sounds pretty awesome. Are there any disadvantages to these programs?
Well, you're not alone on that one, son. In fact, the literature shows that the key drivers of injudicious prescribing habits include lack of knowledge, lack of confidence, lack of clear guidelines, lack of senior support. A survey of first-year doctors clearly showed that doctors were neither confident nor competent in prescribing antibiotics due to a lack of education and knowledge. Evidence suggests that education during medical school may not provide sufficient emphasis on principles of clinical pharmacology, the knowledge of the drugs and the therapeutics, and the practical fuck!
That's alright. That's fine. You did well.
I have to do it again. I have to get it all in one. In terms of junior doctor prescribing confidence, the fuckity fuck, I mean... Well, my dear boy, that's a good question. This is where antimicrobial stewardship comes in. Now, antimicrobial stewardship is a set of coordinated strategies to improve the use of antimicrobial medications. Comprehensive antimicrobial strategies have been demonstrated to reduce unnecessary antimicrobial That's a good question. Now, this is where antimicrobial stewardship comes in. That's a good question. Now, this is where antimicrobial stewardship, look straight at the camera.
That's fine.
Antimicrobial programs, that's not the word. Well, antimicrobial stewardship programs generally involve three main recommendations. The first, compliance with the therapeutic guidelines of Australia. The second, being involvement in the pharmacist-led feedback intervention workshops. And the third involves the creation of a Well, Antimicrobial stewardship programs generally involve three main recommendations. The first is compliance with the therapeutic guidelines of Australia. The second being involvement in pharmacist-led feedback intervention workshops. And the third involves the creation of a multidisciplinary team, including an infectious disease physician and an infectious disease pharmacist, who can be consulted to optimise the use of antimicrobial agents. The therapeutic guideline. Mind me reminds me that microbiology should guide therapy wherever Maybe that.
Sorry.
The second recommendation includes pharmacist-led feedback into fuck. The second recommendation includes pharmacist-led feedback intervention workshops. These workshops involve three basic concepts. 1. Active education. 2. Personalised feedback. And 3. Reflection on that feedback. Active education involves clinical pharmacists working with junior doctors to assess habits and bridge knowledge gaps. This has been shown to have long-lasting beneficial effects compared to printed material, didactic lectures or group interaction. Also, personalised feedback and reflection on that feedback allows junior doctors to understand the strengths and weaknesses of antimicrobial prescribing. Literature suggests that reflection on feedback is just as important as so close. The third recommendation. Well, not all hospitals have the staff and resources to facilitate antimicrobial stewardship programs. For example, existing programs are usually led by infectious disease physicians or infectious disease pharmacists, and many of these are not always available in all hospitals, especially rural ones. Well, not all hospitals have the staff and resources to facilitate antimicrobial stupid shit programs. Well, not all hospitals have the staff and the resources to facilitate antimicrobial stewardship, fucking motherfucking piece of shit, fuck. Well, not all hospitals have the staff and resources to facilitate antimicrobial stewardship programs. For example, existing programs are usually led by infectious disease physicians or infectious disease pharmacists, and many, not always, will be available. What? That last sentence doesn't make sense.
Okay.
Good! Now scram! I have medical students to terrorise.